Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Turn off my music.
When it was announced that they were dating, I was excited for him. He always spoke about this was what he wanted. This is what he wanted for his life. And, he wanted the family like his brother had. So I was really happy and they seemed really happy. But I think for me, like with her specifically, was like, yay, someone like me. Because there's not a representation. Because she's right in some of the things that she says. Like, there isn't really a representation of a mixed biracial person. There's not many. I'm not saying that there isn't because there is, but there's not many.
Right.
And I was excited because I have mixed race kids. And I was like, "Oh, great. They're gonna see someone who's like them, doing amazing things, helping people, and seeing like, oh, look, somebody who looks like me, who is like me, is doing that." Which, granted, I'm darker than she is, so you know.
Right.
And I was really excited for that, and I supported them. I was like, "Yes, this is gonna be great. She's beautiful. This is gonna work." And then it all just, like, hit the fan, and in the beginning, I was like, "No, I just think that this is, like, tabloid fodder, like, I'm not even gonna get into it." And then, like, more and more respected names in journalism started coming out with more and more things, and when I noticed that the palace wasn't issuing statements like, "No, that's not true," which they would do if it was a falsehood.
Right.
That's when I was like, "Damn,
Yeah. Yeah.
why? Why? You had this amazing platform and you just kinda, like, chucked it in the bucket." And it was
Right.
disappointing.
Yes. It was disappointing for me. I had heard, and I had actually told some people on a forum that um, this was real, and Harry was very excited and had texted me, and
Mhm.
um, and for his privacy, just let's let this go. I did not know she was biracial. Honestly, you could not tell it from the way I look, but I am part Italian. I'm quarter Italian. And if you look at it, which is really ironic because my mother is half Italian. Um, and my mother's um, my mother's mother and her sister's kids, um, her sister's, yeah, kids look like they're Sicilian. I
Yeah,
mean, they look really Italian, like you would think, talk the Sopranos, I mean, we're talking
yeah.
really Italian. And so I'm thinking Megan's Italian.
My husband
That's
thought
what
the same thing.
exactly. So that's what I'm thinking. Um, she really never made uh, she never really made a big deal out of being biracial. She never said anything about it.
Mhm.
It seemed like until she um, started dating Prince Harry,
Yeah.
and that's what kind of bothered me.
Mhm.
It, and we did. We forced ourselves to watch Suits. I had no idea what that show was.
Yeah.
None. I mean, I never heard of her. I
Mhm.
never
Yeah,
really
me
heard of the
neither.
show.
Yeah.
Um, I had no opinion about her one way or the other. I was happy for him.
Mhm.
I was hoping because of her background that she might be able to handle things better. Um,
Yeah.
but I, I don't, judging from the wedding, I don't understand why she did what she did. That's
Yeah.
kind of where I saw things just kind of go like, like
Yeah.
you didn't do that for your first marriage. Why did you do that for your second marriage?
Yeah.
Because if it was that important to you, if being biracial was that important to you, why didn't you include it in your first marriage ceremony
Yeah. I
instead of
think because I think we have to go back and remember, like, what was happening at that time here in America, where race is and was still at that time such a huge issue. And I think she played off of that.
yes, yeah, and that's just very frustrating, I guess, to me because I see it um, a- as they've turned this all political. They've kind of turned this situation political, and I'm
Yeah.
like, it's not political. It's just, at least for me, I don't feel like it's political. And as you can see, I'm extremely white.
Yeah. So, I think for me, what really bothers me with her is I've actually experienced racism in my life, and I feel like when she is constantly crying out, like, racist comments, use of the N-word, and it's not actually happening, she doesn't understand what she's doing to actual victims of racism, and you don't have to be Black to experience racism. It happens in every ethnicity and every skin color, but when you are consistently crying out and then it's being disproven that that actually did not happen, you're taking away a lot from people who truly experience it on a daily basis. And that's what I don't like. It's like a crutch. Like if you say anything negative about her, you're racist. But how? Is she above criticism? Because that's kind of the way that it is coming across, is that she cannot be criticized. She is here and we are here, and if you try and say anything about her, you're racist. And if you're like me and you say something, you get called a lot of names.
Yes. And honestly, it seems like, well, I went back and you've been on Twitter since 2011, but you've come
Mhm.
across my radar just like in the past year or two, I want to say.
Yeah.
Um, and the one thing that I've noticed is that you're always extremely polite in everything that you talk about when it comes to Harry and Meghan, or
Mhm.
if you talk about Catherine and William and their children, um,
Mhm.
even if it's, I won't say negative, but even if it's to point out that uh, what they're doing isn't um, a, a good thing that they should be doing, or it isn't correct. Um,
Yeah.
so, when did you really start getting, I guess, involved with um, or start getting interested in the Royals? Was it just when Megan came along, or you've always been on?
No, no. Since my mom introduced me into the royal family, Diana, I was so little. when she, died. And yeah, it was before then. I remember growing up and having pictures of them on my walls and watching everything that they did, and my mom would buy me, like, every magazine that they were on or in, and so, like, I have cups from, like, Charles and Diana's, like, wedding, like, the commemorative cups and the plates, and so it was I remember, like, I had had a baby, and I was up, like, feeding my baby, watching William and Catherine get married. So, it's my whole life, pretty much.
Yes. Yes. I actually, yeah, I'm extremely old, as you can tell. I'm gonna
No.
really date myself. A friend and I stayed up. My great great Auntie Clara, who I loved so so much. I was actually watching her because she had Alzheimer's, and my
Mhm.
grandparents would go away for the weekend, and so my friend Kelly and I watched Charles and Diana get married. And of course, we had to stay up all night to do
Yeah,
this, and we were like 14 or 15 at the time. And
yeah.
we were so excited because, it was first time that anything like that had been broadcast across there. And we had such a great time doing that. And then, stayed up and watched William and Catherine get
Yeah, like 5
married.
in the morning. Yeah, I remember. I was like, "Oh." But like, a few years ago, this is actually not a few years, years ago, it was before my daughter was even born, my oldest, they in Connecticut at this, like, casino, they did this exhibit of Diana's dresses
Oh,
and
yes.
letters that she wrote. So I went and I saw that, and honestly, I have to say, like, her wedding dress was there, so I was like, "Yes, this is amazing." Because the Spencers lent everything, and all the proceeds were gonna go to Diana's charities, and I was very disappointed in that wedding dress, in the preservation of the wedding dress.
Ah, yes.
I was like, "Why is it yellow?
Ah, yeah.
You couldn't clean it? You couldn't clean it? You couldn't preserve it better? It's yellow." But her
Yes,
other dresses were pristine.
right.
So, and that was nice, and there were, like, videos going on about when she went to Africa and she did the Halo Trust and she walked in the minefields, and all these letters that she wrote to different charities. So it was interesting.
Yes, that definitely would be. Um, we got the chance to go to, London, and of course, see my mother wanted to go and see the crown jewels. We went to Paris and saw the memorial and where she was killed. I
Mhm,
remember exactly where we were at because I was pregnant
mhm.
with Sadie at the time. We were moving across country, when she died. Um, and it was horrific. And then
Mm.
seeing the 2 boys walking behind the carriage
Yeah,
when that happened. And so, of course, all of our hearts went out to them. Um,
yeah,
have you read the book, by Tom Bowers? That have you
yes.
been able to go through there and
Yeah, I finished it. Yep.
did you?
Yeah.
Um, because I've heard conflicting stories,
Mhm.
about some people think that it's not true at all, and others think that it is. And I've seen some that I know that there are some passages that just really don't make any sense, but there are quite a few that really do. What did you take away from there?
So when I tweeted about it as I was reading it, and I
Right.
kept saying that I have so many thoughts. I'm very conflicted about this book. And it wasn't because of the accuracy of the book or the authentication of the facts in the book. It was more or less Megan herself. She's very tenacious, I think is a good word to describe her. and she has drive and she sets goals and she will do anything to get there. And I admire that. Like, that's great. Set goals. What I don't like is how she'll use anyone. And I don't that's not a good quality. That's not even a good it's not a respectable trait to have. And that's where my issues came in with Megan was, you know, set your goals. It's great to have goals. Once you meet your goals, set new goals, but don't hurt people on your way, you know? And the way she discards people once they have served their purpose, and it's like, why? You know? So there was that. I think that he didn't reveal anything that wasn't already in the press. It was kinda like he was confirming it. Like, yes, this did happen. And the lack of lawsuit on the part of Megan speaks volumes to me
Yes.
because they have I mean, she practically sued her dad,
Oh,
you
yes.
know, with the letter. And I said like, a friend of mine was like, "What do you like, do you think that it's true?" And I'm like, "I do think that it's true because if there were any inaccuracies in this book, she would be the first to launch a lawsuit." They love litigation. They live for it. They're gonna be lawyers by the time they're done because they sue everyone.
Right.
And for me, that spoke volumes, was why are you not suing? Um, but I mean, it was a good book, but there wasn't any bombshells to me in that book that we have. If you read the British papers, even the American papers now, that wasn't already out there. It was more or less just confirming, like, "Hey, this happened."
Yes, that what was interesting to me was some of the things that we found out about her childhood, I
Mhm.
guess, that hadn't gotten out, um, and then just putting everything together so that
Yeah.
it wasn't it was all in a, it was easier to read than trying to figure out where
Mhm.
each part, each article came from that you would have to try and come back to.
Yeah.
Um, I know because I've been in the middle of this BYU Duke volleyball scandal, um, and that's exactly when you were talking about basically crying wolf. That
Yeah.
you know if Harry or if Megan cared about um, uh, you know the fact that racism exists,
Mhm.
why did she not say anything about the Duke BYU volleyball scandal?
Mhm.
And she did not say anything about that. But then again, I guess maybe somebody would say she's jumping on the bandwagon about this thing.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
that's actual racism. If she
Mhm.
stick with one thing, if you're going to do that, if you're going to cry racism about yourself, then stick with the whole racism and find those things and let's just, you know, find each one and not keep jumping from place to place for each what's
But
the hot topic.
I find her narrative of like, "Oh, no, I'm against racism," and it's I've always been against racism. I'm okay, that's fine, everybody should be against racism. Um, if you're that against racism, that against it, have you met your husband?
Right.
Have you met him? I would do some research, girl, because he doesn't have the cleanest record. and nobody is perfect.
Right.
But you're out here and you're talking about racism. Your husband has yet to own any of the racist comments he made when he was in the military and he had to get sent to like a special training, or I don't know, that horrendous costume he thought was appropriate to wear, you know? And that's not just on Harry. Everybody glides over it. William should have said, like, hey, that is very distasteful. And it's not going to be a and not even only because Harry's a prince, it's not a good look for anybody.
Terminal waiting for the RAF to square you away. There, it's probably second place. And for first place, we have a winner. That is a definite winner. Definite winner. Can't beat that. Anybody else around here? You say, no, that's bad admin. That is bad admin.
Is that yours?
No. So, a little packy friend. Ahmed. Having a bit of a GPS moment here.
Are you?
Oh, looks like you are.
Oh, baby, how are you doing?
That's damn. Come on.
Stand now at the moon.
You look like a raghead. Look at me. Look at me.
Like
Look away.
Mr. Wells is going to attempt to deliver a set of deliberate night attack orders in 30 seconds.
Go on, buddy, go.
Someone loves to call. Yeah.
Starting to stop
someone loves to
watching
call
now.
this. And Grandpa. Yes. No,
Mr. Wells, come on.
I gotta go. I really will. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
God save you. Yeah, that's great. All right, see you. Bye. Sorry, gentlemen. Thank you for coming.
30 seconds on the
Time
clock.
starts.
Can we make you stopwatch?
Right, my aim is to basically
Let's get
my aim is to basically give you a set of orders that's going to last no more than 30 seconds. Right, tonight we're going to go company attack, night attack. It will be dark. You'll be wearing smocks, body armor, helmets, or your sort of usual shit. It's going to be hot. It's going to be sweaty. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be hard, fast, and aggressive. There's a platoon of minor strength position. Platoon minor strength position in that direction there. Seen?
See.
It's far. We're going by vehicle. Yeah. 19 platoon, us. Fantastic. Really quite. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Yeah. 20 platoon setting out FUP. Happy.
Seen.
Happy. I'll give you the grid later. Not need to know it. What else? Not many other points really. Yeah. No. We're the first. We're the main assault. 21 platoon main assault. 3 sections will be going right, and 1 section will be going left. We'll do turn-up movement, and basically no one knows where the enemy are, so we'll try and catch them. Any questions?
Carrying day sacks.
Day sets will be carried.
Everyone.
Any other questions? Any other questions? I gotta go.
Oh yeah, sum that up.
That is very distasteful, and it's not gonna be a good and not even only because Harry's a prince, it's not a good look for anybody at
Right.
all, ever. So there's a lot of people at blame, but Harry wore the costume, but there's no accountability. So you can't be against racism if you're not telling your husband, like, you need to take accountability for the things that you've done and said and worn, but there isn't. And to me, it's a bit hypocritical on both of their parts, really.
Yes. Yes, and I think there might have been one time where he said something along the lines of that he's learned more since being with Megan. Um,
Yeah.
but there needs to be more than just that, because
Mhm.
how do you go from all of that to then, oh my gosh, I found this beautiful girl, and now all of a sudden I've just done a 180.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that, people can't change when the right person comes into their lives. And I'm not saying that she's the right person. And I'm not saying she's the wrong person. I mean, I have my opinions on that, but I'm not in that relationship. But you have to have the conversation still. You can't just say, oh, well, I've learned a lot because I've been with her. Okay. I'm not saying that you didn't, but you're still not allowing the conversation to happen. So you haven't learned enough.
Right. Right. It would be interesting to see them sit down and talk about their their relationship and what they've come to,
Mhm,
and talk about Prince Harry's past
mhm.
and, meeting Megan and instead of, his PTSD from everything else that's gone on,
Mhm,
perhaps, talking about the conversation that he has had to have with himself
mhm.
now married to someone who's biracial and having biracial children and having that conversation with each other as to now what does that mean for Prince Harry?
Yeah, and
Um,
he could help a ton of people by having that conversation. He could
yes,
start the conversation for a lot of people, but they won't do that. They won't. I mean, she talked about a relationship in that new article that came out, they're like the trees that are intertwined in the yard, in the house that they couldn't afford. Why are you looking at it? Like they yeah,
every time I'm like, oh my gosh, really? I can't
my
click on this.
I read I read that article and my mouth fell open. I am rarely speechless, but I was like, "You need a new PR team. You need a new handler." Um,
I think that's Megan that's writing it.
oh,
I
yeah,
have
I mean, you could tell, like, remember when she's like, "I want you like, I want you to write about the noises." Like, "What? Ma'am, what are you doing?" And for me, I think what struck me the most, not the most, because there were a lot of things that struck me in that article, was she brought the reporter to Archie's school. I was like, "What are you doing? What are you
right,
doing? You cannot sit and tell this woman, I could never do this in the UK." I don't know why,
right,
because you're Meghan married to the sixth in line to the throne when the future king and queen can do school runs with their future king child and there are no photographs. There's not a press pack. This is not 1987. Like that had times have changed. It is not like that anymore. And in the UK, children are extremely protected from photographs, especially royal children. And you decided to pick up your child and you're like, I want privacy and I don't want press intrusion. And you move to the capital of paparazzi land where they're not regulated. They can hide in your, like, they will stalk your life.
right.
You it's not adding up. Your actions and your words are not equaling out. They're not there's no balance there. If you truly want privacy, I would have never brought a reporter to my child's school, like ever.
Exactly. Yes,
You
yes,
know, I was there were no words. I was like that just doesn't make any sense. I'm with her for the privacy of her children. I get that. As a parent myself, your children deserve privacy. 100%. But you violated your own child's privacy by taking a reporter to his school. Nobody knew where Archie went to school.
right.
So,
And I don't know that really that many people cared about it.
I don't think that they did.
Um, it certainly wasn't the top of my list. I was interested to hear about where, Prince George and Prince Charlotte and Prince Louis were now going to school. Because I think it's interesting that they're they're the first royal children in direct succession that will
Yeah.
be going to boarding school. And
Yeah.
even Kate, um, I should call her Catherine,
Yeah.
People like to get on me because I call her Kate.
Well, if you wanna quote her yourself, she has said she will answer to pretty much anything.
I do the same thing. People are like, "Should I call you Kim or Kimberly?" I'm like, "Call me
Yeah.
whatever." My son calls me
Yeah.
dude. I'm like,
Yeah.
they laugh. They're like, "Okay, dude." Whatever. I'll come to anything. That's what happens when you have 4 kids and your husband's
Yeah.
military. You're like, whatever. Um, but Catherine went to boarding school when she was,
Yeah.
7.
Marlborough House, yeah.
Yeah. So,
I
it's,
think eventually they will.
oh, yes. I
I think
think they will.
I think George and Louis will, because will end up at Eton, especially because, William was very fond of Eton. He really liked his time there. Charlotte may end up at Marlborough House like Catherine did. Princess Eugenie also went there, so it does have lineage. Not that that really matters to them.
Right,
They're kind of just raising their kids the way that they want to, which is I can respect that. I think any parent can.
right.
Um, but as for Archie and Lily, I respect Meghan and Harry's decision to not give them titles and to keep them private, but then don't whine about them not having titles.
And
You can't have it both ways. It's one or the other, and they're going to get them regardless. Like as soon as Charles is king, they now move up, you know?
they have titles. They can use, lord and lady if
Mhm.
they so choose. They chose not to use them.
Yeah,
Archie,
she didn't like the Dumbarton.
right, and Lily is,
I think she
Lady
Lady of Sussex,
Lady Sussex.
Lady Louise.
Yes, so she would
Yeah.
Lady
She would be
Lily.
Lady Lilibet, yeah. I mean, they I as a parent, you walk like this, it's hard because I'm a parent to average everyday kids, no one cares. But they're parents to Princess Diana's grandchildren, the future King of England's grandchildren. So there's always going to be this air of curiosity around them. And I get that as a parent, that's frightening. I completely get that. I can sympathize with that. That would scare me. But you see the balance that William and Catherine have, where they do share photos of their kids, they do have glimpses of their children, and it kind of like quells down the heightened curiosity around the children. Now, when you look at how Meghan and Harry handle their children, and every parent can handle their child any which way that they want. No two people parent the same, and the only wrong way is if you don't feed your kid, you beat your kid. So there really isn't. But they keep these children like lock and key away, and that is their right. But it also heightens that curiosity and that hunt for that picture of them, and so release the photos, it will lower it.
Right. To me, it seems more like a farce anymore.
Mhm.
It's become ridiculous. It's, uh, just, uh, just show your kids. It's not that big of a deal. I
Yeah, it's
I mean, most people in this day and age don't even remember Princess Diana.
mhm,
Um, because I mean, my kids really, they don't. Princess Diana died before Sadie was born,
yeah, I was
so
7.
yes, and so my oldest was 10, and so all they know are what I've told them, and I have all the magazines and everything like
Yeah.
that. Um, so it's slowly, leaving everyone's memory. And there's so many other things that are going on in the world that I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't see threats against it. I know I've gotten more threats over my comments from BYU and Duke than I've seen of threats of
Yeah.
Meghan and Harry on Twitter. Then
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'm not sure where they're eh, where it's where they're finding these things or coming up with all of this. It's yeah. I mean, and that's why I was very interested to have you come on because I'm like, I, because I do a lot of different things. That's why it's
Yeah.
called Ramblings with Kim because I just
Yeah.
ramble
Yeah.
about all sorts of different things,
Yeah.
and so like I like to have different people on, and so I can get different perspectives of all sorts of things,
Mhm.
and so I'm like, where is all this coming from? Because I don't know. I just
I
don't.
think it yeah, I think it comes from, if you look at their past history, their perpetual victimhood. They have to remain the victim. Doesn't matter. And I think that's where it's coming from. I'm not saying that they're not getting threats because they probably are. I question if they're to the extent that they are making it out to be. You know, I think you made a good point in saying that, you know, there are so many larger issues going on in the world, and I think that right there is why she is starting to lose the American audience.
Right. Um, and like I said, I haven't seen any threats against her
Mhm.
on Twitter, but I'm not always on Twitter in that realm.
Yeah.
Um, I've seen more against the royal family
Yes.
than I've seen against her.
Mhm.
Now I've seen some nasty comments against her, and I'm
Yes.
one of those people that yeah, I draw the line there, and I'll
I
report
have a
somebody.
boundary. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely report someone if they're saying something that they should not be saying about Meghan and
Yeah.
Harry. I'm just like,
Yeah.
"No, report." Um, you can have your opinion, but you're not gonna sit there and say ridiculous, things that, yeah, should not come out of someone's mouth. But like I said, when I started talking about the BYU Duke volleyball thing, I don't know if you know anything about that.
No.
Okay, BYU is, um,
Oh, Brigham Young University. I know that school.
right, okay, and Duke, recently, their volleyball team played there, and they have a black volleyball player, and someone from the stands was calling her the N word.
Oh, wow.
And they are denying that it happened, and everyone there is denying it. But they have a very bad history, the church
Mhm.
with Black people, and so I knew that, and I automatically came out with a couple of videos where I rambled,
Yeah.
and I've been trying to defend that, and basically it's come back saying that I'm race baiting and doing all these other things. And so,
Well,
you
yeah,
get
like, if
this.
you look at the history of the Mormon Church, I mean, let's be real. African American people were not even considered people. They weren't even allowed to join the church until, like, recently. It's not been a forever thing. They were literally taught that African American people are not actually people. So, your history kind of speaks for itself. So, I mean, I would believe it.
Well, that's what I was saying. So I was getting these, I'm getting these comments towards me, this lily white,
Yeah.
from, you know, just you cannot even tell I have
Yeah.
nothing in my background.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here going, but Meghan and Harry aren't getting that.
Mhm.
So why are they still, and like you said, it's that perpetual victimhood. I'm like,
Yeah. They're always the victim.
right,
It's never them. But when you look at, like, all these situations, there is a common denominator, and it's you 2. It can't always be everybody else, you know? You've gotta take some accountability. It's like, "Oh, did you make this person cry?" "No, she made me cry." "Alright, well, nobody else has that story." Like, no one else, just you. "Alright." It's a Megan's truth.
right.
And that's where, people have to understand, she she says, "I'm gonna speak my truth." Okay, that's fine. It doesn't make it valid,
Right.
because 2 people can experience the exact same situation and walk away with 2 different ideas of what just happened.
Yes. Yes. And we've also learned that Megan's truth is not necessarily what happens.
Yeah, I mean, look at let's go right back to the Cut magazine, where she said that the at the UK premiere of The Lion King, the one that Harry decided to go to instead of going to the concert for the fallen Marines, because we gotta go get Megan a job at Disney. Very angry about that one. That the actor, who was from South Africa, pulled her to the side and told her that they celebrated in the streets the day she married Harry, like when Mandela was released from prison. Wow,
Yeah.
that is a delusion of grandeur. But that actor has come out and said, "I wasn't even at the UK premiere, and I've never met Meghan." And the only other South African who worked on The Lion King was a composer, and he wasn't at the UK premiere. So, for me, it's confusing, because why would you go out and say these things happened when they can just easily be, disproven? Like, I don't what you want me to give my photo to these reporters who call my children the N-word. Okay, where? Because I would be the first person to call it out.
Right.
I think, people think that, there's like this consensus that people who disagree with Megan would be okay with that. But I honestly truly believe that the people who disagree with Megan would probably be one of the first ones out the gate to say, no, that's unacceptable. You don't do that. But I personally haven't seen it. What I did see was that horrendous drawing that was disgusting and should have never, and he lost his job as he should. But
Right.
I have never seen any member of the Royal Rota use that language in reference to either Meghan or her children.
Right.
So why perpetuate these stories that can a quick Google search can completely prove it wrong? I don't understand what her end game is.
Um, I think it all comes back to fake news. She's almost doing taking Trump's playbook and
Mhm.
using
Reversing
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and just she can say it and get away with it. And I hate to say that and bring politics into it.
Mhm.
But let's just say Trump's an average everyday person because he is.
Mhm.
And Megan's an average everyday person because she is. And that's just the way that the psyche works, is that, now we know we can just say whatever we want, and we'll just say no. It's That's just fake news. If you don't believe me, then you're wrong, and I'm moving on to the next one. But I
Yeah.
think that what they're doing is just they move so quickly to the next one that we don't even have a chance to do anything because then we're just, oh my gosh, now they're doing this. And oh,
Yeah.
now we're doing this.
Yeah. They were in the UK the other day, and that was a joke. I was I'm so happy to be back in the UK. Did you not just call their entire media racist, and then you said that they were a racist and sexist country? Like, are you happy to be back there? Like, are you? Because I'm a little I don't understand, like, why she goes and you are a walking, talking contradiction. And
Yes.
to go back, I think for me, you know, I like I said, I lost my parents. Actually, it's coming up this month for 2 years for losing my dad, and then in February it'll be 2 years since I've lost my mom.
I'm
And,
sorry.
I wish I could just look at them and say, like, "You don't get a second chance. You you don't get to go back and make it different. You get now."
Right.
And the queen, God bless her, she's 96 years old.
Mhm.
Charles isn't young either, and honestly, he doesn't look in good health. Like,
No.
that's my opinion. And the queen, the pictures that were released the other day, I mean, in my opinion, she looked really frail.
Oh, yes.
You don't get a second chance. You don't get, you know, to go back and say what you wanted to say and, like I said, change it. Why go see them?
Yes.
If she doesn't want to go, that is okay, but that's his family.
Right.
Go see them.
Yes.
You don't even have to talk about what is going on. Spend the time with her.
Right.
Spend the time with him, because there is gonna come a day where that's not an option,
Right. Right.
and that's when the regret sets in, and you can't fix regret. You can't change it. You can't take it back. And, I feel for the family as well. This has got to hurt them, especially Charles, because, after Diana passed, he really stepped up in protecting his children, in doing everything for them. And honestly, you can kind of see that he tried to raise them in a way that I think he maybe felt Diana would have wanted, where they could be normal. Like, William got to go to a regular university, and he made a deal. Leave him alone. Let him be. It's got to be hard for him to see the state of his relationship. And I know that people don't always agree with that, but people have to remember that there's two sides to Charles. There's Charles, Prince of Wales, and then there's just Charles the dad. And I think he's hurt by the things that have been said. I can't imagine what that feels like, to hear those things from your child, or to have your child say things about you that are just, categorically incorrect, and your child knows that, like, you really can't defend yourself. But I think, and I tweeted this out, you know, I think it was yesterday or the day before. I think that no matter what, I Charles is going to leave the door open for his son, because I think any parent would. You have this unconditional love for your child. Not that your child's not gonna hurt you, not that your child's gonna make mistakes that you wish they wouldn't have or you warned them against, but at the end of the day, that's still your child. You're still their parent, and that never ends. And I feel bad for him. And I feel bad for him as a grandfather because I'm sure that he wishes that he was able to watch Archie and Lily grow up. They're 2 beautiful kids, you know, and he's not there for that. Um, and it's also hard to see the state of the relationship between William and Harry. That is hard to see because Diana always told her boys to stick together. You always will have each other when it comes down to it, and to see the state of the relationship, you know, that's hard.
That I found the hardest to see um, someone come in there and purposely drive a wedge between the two brothers. I've seen that in, well, gosh, I've seen that in my family that happened.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, you know, and I have a doctorate in psychology, so I know that how how that can affect people and how people go about doing things like that. Now that's not to say I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not even a
mhm,
psychologist. I've worked in politics and then I got too old.
yeah,
So I started a
yeah,
podcast
yeah.
because I was
I
bored.
think yeah. So I think the relationship between Charles and Harry, the door's always open, but I feel like the relationship between William and Harry is irretrievably broken. I don't think that there is coming back from that. I don't. I think it's gonna be like a situation like when William, eventually ascends to the throne, kind of like George the 6th and the Duke of Windsor. They don't speak. They don't have a really. I think it's gonna be something similar to that. Do I hope that I'm proven wrong? I do. I really do. I think that they had such a great relationship, but I don't know. Like if I had a sibling do those things and say those things about me and my spouse, I would have a really hard time trying to rebuild that relationship because there's just an element of trust that you just can't get back. And everybody's saying, "Oh, well, Harry and Meghan are not going to go see William and Catherine or William and Catherine are not going to see Meghan and Harry." You have to understand why though. Would you want to be around someone like Meghan and Harry, where you have to worry about everything that you say because you could turn around tomorrow and they're giving an interview about it or they gave it to Scobie?
Right, right,
Trust is a hard thing to get back. It's almost impossible.
exactly. Yes. And it's been proven time and time again. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Scobie blocked me.
Oh,
Um,
me too. Which is funny to me. I think that's absolutely hysterical because I've never interacted with him. I've never commented on his posts, like nothing. He has to be searching his name. I it's like you're a journalist. You are supposed to be open to differences of opinion and different viewpoints because it makes you a better journalist. You may write something because you think you see it one way, and then someone goes, "Oh, by the way, I saw that exact same thing, but this was my take on it," and take it in. He's very thin-skinned,
yes. And
and
this is
he's a
like,
race baiter.
oh, he very much is.
Yeah,
He very much is. Him and Ely Hall.
Shola and Dr. Shola over there.
Oh, she's something else. I
So
can't even.
yeah, so I I shared her post and I said, you know, she said like it was going after Pierce Morgan, which is easy to do. He sets himself up. He's
Yes, he
he's
does.
not he's he's not the best person in the world that way. But when he's right, he's right.
Yes,
And she went after him and she was like, "You just go after Megan because you're racist." John,
yes,
that's getting old. Nobody buys it anymore.
right.
So I retweeted her and I said, I'm biracial. I'm
Yes,
critical of Megan. Am I racist?
right.
Just curious.
Yes,
What does that make me? The color of your skin doesn't take away your accountability. I could understand her making those claims if Pierce Morgan commented on her skin tone.
right.
But he comments on the things that she says.
Exactly.
So if she was white, would it then be okay?
Well, they say the exact things about William and Catherine.
Yeah. And they go after their children,
Exactly.
which I
So,
won't ever do. No, I don't do children.
no, and no one should ever do that. I mean, that,
No. Like, I have boundaries, and I will not talk negatively about the children because, they don't make those choices for their parents. They don't get a say, and I'm not gonna do that. And George, Charlotte, Louis, Archie, and Lily are innocent children who should never be caught in the crossfires of what is happening with the adults. And as adults, we should all have the maturity or moral compass to know to not attack a child. Like when Catherine released the photos of Prince Louis, and then you had that annoying girl from Twitter call him feral.
oh,
Why
yes,
wasn't that why wasn't that racist?
yes,
Imagine if that comment was made at Archie. Just imagine. It would have it would have been ridiculous. Like she never would have survived that one. But it was okay because it was one of the Cambridge kids.
yes,
It
yes,
says more about you when you attack a child than it will ever say about that child. Here's this new breath of fresh air coming into the royal family. What causes is she going to champion? They were super excited for the Fab Four and what amazing things that they had the potential to, accomplish together and also individually. And, then her behavior started and her exuberant spending started. And that just didn't sit well with them.
right.
It just didn't. And I don't blame them. I'm sorry, but if you spend $100,000, 100,000 pounds on an outfit, there are people who don't even make that in a year, and you think it's okay. And she just started to come across as ungrateful. And I think that's when the sour taste started. And I I think that the British people tried to hold on for as long as they could and kept say like the benefit of the doubt. It's a learning curve. It's a learning curve. And I'm sure that it was. I'm sure that like I don't think I would have been able to do it. But it almost appears as though she didn't even try.
Right. Yeah. That was the
And
impression that I got.
yeah, like she didn't try. And I get it, breaking with royal tradition. You can do that. Diana did it. Catherine does it all the time. It's in how you do it and what parts of it you're breaking, you know? Like, I thought it was ridiculous when she got out of the car Meghan got out of the car and she shut her own car door, and the media made, like, this huge big deal about it, and I was like, "Who cares? She shut her door.
Right.
Why is it on the front page of a newspaper? Who cares? I shut my door every day. You should watch me. Most of the time I'm tripping over it, but I shut my door every day. My kids shut the you should come and take if that's headline news, man. You would love it here. So there were things, that I get where she's coming from in some aspect of it. But you set yourself up for a lot of it. Like the lying the day that Archie was born. The palace releases she's gone into labor. And then, like, what was it? 10 minutes later, she safely delivered of a son.
Right.
What? There are things that people made a big deal out of, like the godparents. Like, what does it matter if you know the godparents or not? Like, if they want to keep it private, I don't care.
Right.
So there are, I kind of walk this line of, I don't know why that's a big deal. And then there's things that she does where I'm like, Megan, why? Why? What did that do for you? And, some people were like, "Oh, how could you because there were things, in my opinion, that happened to her that were said that shouldn't have been said. Like the avocado thing. Like Megan loves avocado toast. She's contributing to like child labor laws or something. Then you need to be writing about half of California.
Right. Yeah.
There were just like I was just, I don't even like avocados, but I'm about to go buy some. You know? There were just things that I did see, but it was more there was more times than not where I couldn't defend her. I was like, "No, like they're valid in this." Like when
Yes.
she would break royal protocol and, royal protocol, explicitly says that the blood royal walks in first. They shake all the hands first, and there she is, like literally looking like Usain Bolt in a full-on sprint to get in front of Prince Harry. Like literally like jumping in front of him. Like, girl, the desperation, and it's things like that. Like,
Right. It's the pushing him away.
oh yeah. Or how she taps him. My husband's like, I swear to God, if you ever like, the next Christmas party at your company,
You know.
I'm gonna my turn.
See,
Move.
I might do that to my husband, like if there was someone, absolutely amazing that I wanted to see. Um,
Mhm. Yeah, but being a military family, I'm sure you've gone to military balls and you've been around your husband's chain of command.
right.
Imagine walking into a military ball and your husband's chain of command's there and you like full on sprint to go shake his hand. Like he's gonna be like, what is
Right.
happening? Like, so, it was things
Mhm.
like that that really kind of just got to me. Like, I didn't care that she shut her own car door, and I didn't really care about the tights thing. I don't like tights, so I was like, "Girl, I'm with you. I don't like tights. They're annoying." My
Right.
mom used to make me wear them all the time, and now that I'm an adult, I think I'm on a full-on boycott of them. But it's
Yes.
just the breaking of the royal protocol, um, being on the balcony and, like, completely turning her back to the
Yes.
crowd to
Right.
talk to him, because how dare he talk to somebody, you know? Announcing your pregnancy at somebody else's wedding.
And I had
Did that.
actually tweeted about that. I was like, she was only 2 months pregnant.
I would have never said anything. Most doctors tell you not to.
No. And I was showing my husband was getting really annoyed because he hates this type of thing. I'm like, this is this is her at 2 months. I said, and her, I'm showing him all these pictures of her in Australia and everything.
Oh my god, cupping her, like, non-existent. Yeah.
I'm like, she's only 2 months pregnant. And I had four. Um,
Yeah.
and my first one, eh, until I was like 9 months pregnant, you couldn't even.
That was me, yeah.
So, of course, I was only 19 too.
Me
So,
too. I was 19 years old, like, you just, like, you didn't know. Like, I didn't look pregnant, I think, until I walked into the hospital to give birth.
exactly.
She was just very dramatic. Like, she had to carry the folder
Yes. Yes.
in front of her. I was like, "What are you covering? Are your
I
pants on? Did you pee yourself? Like, what happened? I don't understand." Like, the only thing in the Australia trip that I understood was when she canceled because she was, like, exhausted. I was
right.
like, "Girl, if I could have slept for 9 months straight, I think I would have." So I understood
Right.
certain parts of it, but you do not need to walk around cupping your non-existent. Your baby is, like, the size of a
Right.
no-see-um, like a little
Right.
midgie. That's the size of your baby.
Right.
What is happening? And then when she went to the wedding and she had, like, the one button unbuttoned, you could have
Yes.
buttoned the button.
Right. Right.
You could have buttoned that button. There was no need. She did it because she knew it was gonna draw attention. And to do that, that's like getting engaged at somebody else's wedding reception
Right. Exactly. Or
or
wearing white.
announcing, yeah, or announcing your pregnancy at somebody else's baby shower. I've seen that happen.
Well, it
But
was
it was
great
so
talking
nice
to
chat.
you.
Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciated it.
No, I really appreciated it so much. Now I do this podcast that, oh, by the way, takes up your whole entire life. If
Yay.
depending on what you do and how you want to go about doing it.
Yeah.
It's just but it's been a lot of fun. So I will
Yeah.
tell you that. But I am very excited that you are interested in doing a podcast.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason I wanted to have you on here. So, what is it that you want to do a podcast on? Do you want to reveal
It's
it on this one?
yeah, so my premise is going to be, about the Royals, because that's my interest, and I know a lot about them, and I like the community, you
Yeah,
know. I like the community, and it's just I'm excited to be able to share something that I care about, and that people I found it. I was like, "Oh my god," I put out that I was gonna do it, and so many people were like, "Yes, yes," and I was just like, "Wow, these people care, like, what I have to say," and I was very excited about that. Um, but I wanted to put in a different voice. When I watch the shows, you know, there isn't a representation from my community, like a biracial community. And I wanted to, have that voice. kind of in the race and say, no, this isn't about race. This is absolutely nothing to do with race. This is about holding someone accountable for mistruths that they're putting out into the world, the hurtful things that they are saying about people that they know cannot fight back, and just kind of like attempting to correct the narrative that is surrounding the royal family and the UK as a whole. And I know that, like, as an American, not really my place, but I don't like the representation that the people in the UK are getting. Like, oh, they're racist. They didn't like her because she was racist, because they're racist. And I didn't like that. But, I've interacted with many people from the UK, and I have been treated with nothing but respect and kindness. And I'm biracial, and I'm darker than she is. And no one treated me any different. But primarily, it was to be a voice where there isn't one.
All
Sounds
right.
good. All right.
Okay. You have a good day,
Bye.
Brittany.
You too. Bye.
Bye.